So if you've been following along with these lessons, you should have a very nice web page. But now we're getting to the point where we want to create some navigation allowing us to link multiple pages together. Really interesting subject because there's many different ways to create your website navigation. I like to cover a few of them. But first off, I'd like to start off with just some basic rules of site navigation. The first thing you need to keep in mind is you need to be really clear about what's navigation and what isn't. So what are the buttons and what isn't a button? Okay, so you don't want to be obscure about what your navigation is. Next thing you want to keep in mind is make sure your navigation is all sort of in one place. You don't want your navigation scattered across a page, making your users work for that content. And of course, this is going to make your site easy to use. So if your content is in one location, everything looks like buttons, like they're selectable, and it's all organized nice and neat, then your user is going to have an easy time with sort of figuring out how to navigate your site. Hopefully they just don't have to and everything's really intuitive. But really there are different types of models of navigation. So it kind of depends on your content. So the first thing you need to decide is what your content is. In this case, the site is pretty simple. It's just going to have a home page, a menu page, a location page, and a contact page. Okay, so the content for the site is pretty simple. But there are different ways of organizing this content. But just to review a couple of them, we do have, say for instance, the all-in-one, where you have all of your content on one page. That might work out well if you don't have a lot of content. Maybe all you need is one page. Or it could be applicable to, say, blog sites. A lot of times you have multiple posts all on one page. Another way to deal with navigation and the structure of your website is to have sort of a flat navigation. And that means having all of your pages at one level. I can get from any page to any page, and it's all only a click away. Again, if you don't have a lot of content. Another approach is using an index approach. So again, maybe Craigslist might be a good example of this, where you have plenty of links on the home page, but really you have to go through the home page to get to all of that other content. So it is similar to a flat structure. Another option out there is sort of the hub and spoke approach, or more directly related to like e-commerce sites where you're following a path. Say for instance you're purchasing a product, you can upgrade the product, so that might take you down a different road, but you have to go through this sort of linear approach. Another approach you might consider is a strict hierarchy. So again, you could have a home page that links to 3 other main pages. One might be a service page, and the only way to get to the content of that service page, to sub-navigation for that service page, is by going to the service page, and then you can get to those subsequent pages. But you can't get, say for instance, from a tertiary level, a 3rd level down, into another part of the site that's sort of a 3rd level down as well. So not quite as useful. Really, compared to sort of a multi-dimensional hierarchy, is really easy to work with because you can access any page regardless of where you are. Okay, so that works out well. Again, if you have a lot of content, it might get kind of confusing, but that's your goal, is to enable your users to get to the content as easily as possible. So whatever that content is, you have to make it easy on the user. Okay? The general rule is to keep the content, the navigation, really consistent and clear, and make sure no piece of content is more than 3 clicks away. So that's a general rule. Keep it clear, make everything no more than 3 clicks away, and you'll be doing quite well. Some don'ts, for instance, just some things you don't want to do as you start to analyze the information that's going to go on your site. You don't want to bury your navigation entirely in a bunch of drop-down menus. So a drop-down menu is, say for instance, if you roll your cursor or your mouse over over a button and you get this additional links that pop up. That's a drop-down menu or a pop-up menu, and you don't really want to hide your content in these obscure menus if you can help it. At the same time, you don't want to have a ton of links on your page. It's really up for you to decide what a ton is, but you, in general, don't want to have, say, more 7 or 8 links on a page when it comes to your content, because otherwise it just gets too overwhelming. And the last and final note is we want to make sure we're using text for any navigational elements. No obscure images or little icons that people have to second guess as to what that button will link to. We want to be really clear and consistent with all of our nav. So again, those are just some rules, some different types of site architecture you want to consider when you're creating your site. And luckily Dreamweaver really helps us out in this case, because there are actually some pre-built templates in Dreamweaver. So let's go ahead and take a look. So I'm going to launch Dreamweaver, and here we are in Dreamweaver. You can see here's my welcome screen. But what I want to do is I want to use some pre-built templates. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to select New. And here we are. Sure enough, with HTML selected, I can go to the center column. You can see all of these various layouts. I really like how these layouts are provided to me that I can use. So I can just use my arrow key and just kind of arrow down, press the arrow button, and you can start to check out all of these different layouts. So I was talking about navigation a second ago. I can come down to, say for instance, this 2-column fixed left sidebar, and I can scroll over. Also has a header and footer. So again, this is potentially a site architecture I might consider. I might have a header, I might have my navigation on one side, and then a footer at the bottom, and of course the content in the center. So here are some pre-built options for you to go ahead and use, whether your nav is going to be on the left side or the right side, or if you're going to have pages that have flexible width columns. It's all available right in here. So I encourage you to check out these various layouts. For this particular project, I want you to go ahead and select the 2-column fixed left sidebar with the header and footer. Okay, so about a quarter of the way down, select 2-column fixed, select Create, and now we get a closer look at that template file. So from here you can see that it does give me instructions on how to modify this page. So it's nice, it kind of walks me through how the site is set up. It easily shows me the navigation on the side. Again, link 1, link 2, link 3 and 4. So again, it's up to you to start to swap out all of this content with actual content that I would want to have on my site. But again, use the template files. It enables you to get up and running fast. From here, I actually do want to use this layout, so I'm going to save this page. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to select Save. And I'm going to save it in my site folder. Okay, this is going to be my new index file. So in fact, I want to call this index new. Okay, because I want to sort of create a new page that's going to have this format. Select Save. So I've saved out that page. I can go ahead and take that content, swap it out with all the content I already have created, and from there I'm actually going to make multiple pages, and I really get to see my site being built out. But again, that's in the next lesson.